Shalom. Thank you for anybody who prayed for me for the past couple of weeks. I'm feeling much better and listened, felt impressed to do what, I was being led to do and take care of myself. And, he's a restorer, so Abba, thank you for healing me. Now we're going to do a video. I've been researching again. That should come as no surprise to you since I'm a researcher. So what do a mole and a groundhog and a bunny rabbit have in common besides their rodents? I'll let you think about that. One of the other things they have in common is they burrow. So we're going to talk about the concepts of burrowing and what's hidden underground. So only Yahuwah can orchestrate this. I just say yes to him. Again, I didn't do that today, so right now I say yes, Abba. So I thank you, and I just give this to you. And Lord, let somebody come out from all this other stuff. And in Yeshua's name, I just give you all the praise and honor and all the credit and glory. Thank you. So we're going to play whack-a-mole. Apparently they're already playing whack-a-mole in some of the things going on right now. So you can go through here. I mean, truth is stranger than fiction, right? So you have some leaker that's going on right now, and some things going on. So I wanted to show you what was really interesting, because he made all these connections. I've been working on this for a while, and I did a table. There's going to be 2 tables, and we're going to discuss how each of these are related. The bunny, the mole, and the groundhog. So first we're going to talk about the whack-a-mole. So apparently this is going on right now, so this is very current. And we just passed through on Groundhog Day. And I did a table on this beginning of this month. I'd thought about Groundhog Day, I'd been watching that, and they have the dumb groundhog with a hat. So I did this, and, he told me to go ahead and start looking for it, so I did. And I came up in Numbers 4:47 to Numbers 15:18. In the scripture verse that it came up, the mem, all the oxen for the burnt offering were 12 bulls, the rams 12, the lambs of the first year 12, with their meal offering. So here we are talking about bulls again, It's just amazing. Just amazing. So here is groundhog, and we already showed the verse, so the mem, and it goes down, okay? And then what came up around it was really interesting. And again, I let the table reveal itself. I let the scriptures do that. And he just gave me the idea to search for it. So and the concept was burrowing and what's hidden underground. We already know that they have underground cities and the things that they've done underground, and the horrible things that they've done to children. And there is nothing hidden that will not be revealed. And that's what Jeremiah talked about. He said he is going to uproot, tear down, build up. And he's going to build up the things that he's going to build up and tear down the wicked. The wicked are going to be burnt with fire. So, that you can't hide from him. And I wanted to share a dream that I had after a dream that I had with most intense warfare. Thankfully, about a week later, he gave me this one I'm going to share. I'm not going to share the other one. The dream was I had woke up at 2 in the morning, and I always talk to me, do you need me to get up to pray? And he's, no, I want you to go back to sleep. It's like he woke me up to tell me he wanted me to go back to sleep. Okay. So I went back to sleep, and as I was waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, I was coming out of a conversation. I was listening to a conversation or watching it with 3 ancient looking guys. Okay, they were like way cool, Okay, I don't even know how to describe them. I just knew these were old guys, but they're ancient looking, but they were cool looking. So I don't know who the other two were, but the one that I knew his name as I was like, oh, that's Jeremiah. And then I woke up. I'm like, and he was so excited to see his words coming to pass. I never thought about that. I don't know if anybody's ever thought about them. You know, they're overlooking, you know, the balcony and the Shamayim and watching everything come to pass in this generation. We get to see this. And I just realized, like, wow, they're so excited too. But he was really excited. He was pumped. So I'm sure I'll get... You know, this was, you know, modern day English or conversation that I'm talking about. So he was way excited for this. So here we have groundhog. Okay. Now my secondary search term was comet because I wanted to make sure this was the right time frame because we just had Comet Honda fly over. Again, it's like a harbinger, you know, a sign. Man has no control over that type thing. And Etna came up. Now, Etna has come up before in other tables that I did last year, but I never, you know, I wasn't sure what to do with that. So I always, if I don't know, I wait, and I wait, and I wait until it's like, oh, this is a confirmation for maybe the time frame that we're entering in. Okay, so I'll go ahead and show it. So we have wormwood. So we have comet, which went down here. Okay, this is comet. And wormwood was, let's see, the aleph and the yod. Let's see, where was that at? Somewhere down here. Oh, here it is. And again, these are the key codes that I punched in. So it'd be 447. So I'll let it reveal itself. So the next one in the bright blue was spoiler. You have missile. You have flame, fire, or ash here in the gold color. And I did bet. So there'd be bet 222, and that's it's a Strong's number. So you know you can work with this different way because there's so many different types of concepts and languages that he can reveal in this, and that's what I did. So the next word for this that came up was you have spoiler. Okay, that was in the blue. Nuclear. So are they going to use a missile to set things off? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. But this is what it came up as. So I just wanted to show you that because I had looked up groundhog because of what was hidden underground and what he's going to be revealing and what Jeremiah was talking about, him uprooting things, like uprooting the tree, the sycamore tree in New York. That was a complete upheaval in what he's continuing to do. So I have another table that we're going to get to. But I want to go through this because I think it's important. And another thing that happened to me, so funny. Sometimes what I'll do, and I have a research thing that I researched for, and somebody deleted my post, and I had put things in there that I knew Abba wanted me to do this, and they completely deleted it. So when things happen like that, it makes me look closer. It makes me dig in deeper into, you know, the sword of the Spirit, His Word, and finding it happens that. So I had gotten a while back an Aramaic English New Testament. Love it. I highly recommend getting it because it clears up so much stuff. People just like to quote just, you know, out of the English, one verse, and they don't even dig or research anything. They're very comfortable with where they're at spiritually. I'm not. I've never been comfortable. I've never been comfortable in what you would call a church. I never felt like I belonged in it. You know, so I feel like I've been wandering in the wilderness for so many years. I remember, you know, I have had so many dreams as a child. I had a dream when I was a little girl, and this is a double dream, so I dreamed the same thing twice. I dreamed that I was, there was a construction zone, and there was a lot of chaos going inside the construction zone. There was somebody had gotten murdered in it. Here I'm in elementary school. I mean, gosh, I'm in 3rd, 4th grade. I'm dreaming these things. And I dreamed that after the construction zone, somehow I was picked up and put outside the construction zone. I couldn't get back in it, but I could see everything that was happening within the construction zone. Traffic, and somebody died in it. So I know that there was a reason for that, and he called me on another dream that I had. I dreamed that I was in a sandstorm. So prophetic about that. Think of sands of time. As I was wandering in this sandstorm, I had a bottle of water and a white towel wrapped around my neck. And this was in the 90s that I had this dream. And as I was wandering in this sandstorm in the desert, I saw this woman in a covered wagon, pioneer woman with the bonnet thing like they did in the Old West. She looked at me and I looked at her, and we're both like, "What are you doing here?" I can still remember her face to this day. I will never forget it. So as I'm wandering in this sandstorm in the sands of time in the wilderness coming through this, it was him that brought me through. So I continue to watch this and keep his cycles, and talk to people about this. So obviously there's something that the answer revealed, because it could have caused somebody to come out of something. But I can tell you, and I can proclaim, that their blood will not be on my hands. If they do not repent, the blood will be on the person's hands that deleted that. So FYI. So we're going to go through, and so here's the other rodent. So what does the bunny rabbit have to do with this video? So we're going to start. So what happens during this time coming up with the Ishtar bunny? So what we're going to do is shoot an arrow of truth and just kill the bunny rabbit. Just like, get it out of here. It's over with. It's done. So another thing that happens during this time is mass. We're going to talk about this and the difference between that and why he wants his people to come out of this stuff. So the word mass means death and was coined originally by the Roman Catholic Church, and it belongs exclusively to the Church of Rome, or the Assembly of Rome. The ritual of Mass involves the death of Christ and the distribution of the host, a word taken from the Latin word, whatever this means, victim. I've never been to a Mass, so I don't know. This is all the research that I've been able to find. There's a lot out there, so I'm just going to present just when you do your own research. I've talked about this in all my videos. Dig deeper. Dig for knowledge, like the pig roots for truffles. I had that in my high school sketchbook when I was a senior in high school. So we had all these sayings, right? So it talks about that Yeshua must be crucified over and over again daily at each and every Mass. They teach that this once and for all sacrifice on the crucifixion stake was not sufficient to atone for sin. How terrible is that? So not only do you have Christ Mass or Christ Mass, you have this, I guess they have Easter Mass? I don't know. But this is really a sad state. Where's the Ishtar bunny? No, I don't think so. So you can go through and you read that. I'm going to pause. Okay, here you go, Constantine. Can you read that? And they changed it. So now this is getting in the meat of this. People have been talking about the Aurora Borealis. And I know it from a scientific perspective, and I know it's so awesome, and I think the enemy is trying to twist this from what it originally was, because I think it's, when you look at that, the heavens declare his glory. So what happened was I had been researching Aurora and looking to find out what could this mean, because people have been talking about dawn, like dawning of a new day. It's darkest, it's nighttime, it's coming. And I'm thinking, well, there's got to be something to this. So I ended up doing the research, and you can see it. What was the concept behind this? So not only is it obvious, it also means the ancient Roman goddess of the dawn. It means dawn in Latin. Aurora was the Roman goddess of the morning. It has occasionally been used as a given name since the Renaissance. Well, remember in my last video we talked about the battle of the ages. Now we're having whack-a-mole. We're having, this sovereign against that sovereign, and they're butting heads, and this sovereign's army is, causing chaos and creating chaos. So, we're having amazing wars right now. So it's not only the technical wars, the media wars, war of words. We're having all this stuff going on. But I thought it was interesting because I saw this Apollo led in his chariot by Aurora. And we all know whose place this is. So there's no coincidences in Hebrew. So, why would Apollo's chariot be led by Aurora? So I think it's worth looking into, that there's way more beyond what we are thinking that this could be. So just keep that in, put it on burner, put it on low, simmer, and let's just watch this for a while. And we're going to go through and go deeper to kill this Ishtar bunny, because this is not what Abba wants you to worship. None of this stuff. So, according to Webster's New World Dictionary of the American Language, Easter is the name of the dawn goddess. The book of Ezekiel alludes to the tradition of the sunrise service on Easter Sunday. Ezekiel 8:16, and he brought me to the inner court of Jehovah's house, and behold, at the door of the temple of Jehovah, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men, with their backs toward the temple of Jehovah, and their faces toward the east, and they worshipped the sun toward the east. So again, time to shoot the rodent, unkosher bunny with the arrow of truth. Everything about Easter, from the bunny and the eggs to the sunrise worship, is pagan in origin and does not originate in the scriptures. This was done pre-Yahuwdiyth, okay? He is the Passover lamb. So this is what they used to do. Okay, every year on March 25th and December 20th, there would be wild, drunken parties and orgies where virgins would become impregnated by pagan priests. Since there are 9 months to a pregnancy, and there are also 9 months between March 25th and December 25th, the pagan priest of Baal would impregnate these virgins on Easter Sunday, and then by December 25th, when these infants were newly born, they would then offer these newborn babies on the altar to Moloch on December 25th. A few months later, on Easter Sunday, they would offer up more infants to the goddess named Easter, and then they would dye eggs in the blood of these sacrificed infants. And here, this person has a picture, blood red eggs, which is the only color that the Greek Orthodox Assembly uses to color their eggs. The Feast of Jehovah are what we should celebrate rather than learning the ways of the heathen. Again, 23rd chapter Leviticus details the feast days of Jehovah. Oh, you say, it's been nailed to the tree. We don't have to do that anymore. Well, 1 Corinthians 5:8 says, so that we may keep the feast, not with old leaven, nor with the leaven of evil and wickedness, but with unleavened food of sincerity and truth. Now, truth, we shall worship him in spirit and in truth. And our loins are girded about with truth. That's part of our armor. And this is truth. This is not going to sit here and tickle your ears. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to make it sound, oh, it's okay, good. No. You need to come out of this. If he finds you among the whores of Babylon, you're not going to get to go. Okay? Christ Mass, elect. Make your calling and election sure. There is a responsibility that we each have to make sure that we cleanse ourselves, that we wash ourselves, that we go and walk on the path with him. For this reason, brothers, all the more do your utmost to make firm your calling and choosing. For if you are doing these matters, you shall never stumble at all. And this is one thing that was really interesting, because Matthew is originally written in Hebrew. So this scripture verse For many are called, but few are chosen. This Hebrew structure, and I showed this in my other videos. Go back to the beginning. Look at these. This is a journey from the very beginning when he said, just put your poems on here. I'm like, okay. And then he says, just talk. I'm like, you don't really want me to talk on this, do you? Because I didn't want to do it. He's like, yes, I want you to do this. No, you got the wrong person. Apparently he thought he had, so I did. Okay, I say yes, whatever. And it says, the call goes out to many. Do you choose? Choose to what? What do they choose to follow? They don't follow the way, or they do follow the way. The call goes out to many. Few choose. Few choose to follow the way. That's why Yeshua refers back to Isaiah 53. We all, like sheep, have gone astray. Each of us has turned to our own way. That is why repent, or return, worshiping him only in spirit and truth, and you shall have no other gods alongside me. People like to mix this worship and think it's okay. It's not. He's taken his seed that's in his people, and he is separating it out. So we have, go back to the word, turn back, shuv, to return to a previous state or place. So you can go through and look through this and read through this. It's also where we get to Shuvah. This is www.ancienthebrew.org. And when the chief shepherd shall be revealed, here we have revelation. Who's our chief shepherd? Yeshua, the revelation of Yeshua. You shall receive a crown of glory from him that does not fade away, and into an inheritance that is imperishable, undefiled, and unfading, reserved in heaven for you. For you were like sheep going astray. He's quoting from Isaiah, but now you have returned to the shepherd and overseer of your souls. 1 Corinthians, his workmanship will be evident because the day will bring it to light. It will be revealed with fire, and fire will prove the quality of each man's work. 2 Timothy 4:8, henceforth there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, righteous to stay on that path, wicked to go off the path. We talked about this in the other video, that the Lord, or Yahuwdiyth, the righteous judge, shall give to me in that day, and not only me, but also to those who loving his manifestation. He's manifesting himself right now through his people that are keeping his instructions. And there's many that are falling away and turning away because they don't want to hear his Torah. They don't want to know what his instructions are because they love the way that they're going. Now a crown of righteousness is kept from me, which Elohim, my Yeshua shall award to me in the day when he shall judge the just, but not only me, but also those who will have loved his revelation. So we talk about horn in Hebrew. So the Hebrew concept, that's where crown comes from, is koren, is horn. The horns of animals were very versatile objects. They were used as trumpets and even a weapon of war. They were used to store liquids such as olive oil used for foods as well as medicine. So again, this is where we get our word crown from. And so the imagery of the ox and shepherd's staff were common symbols of strength, leadership, and authority in ancient times. Chiefs and the kings commonly wore the horns of a bull on their head as a sign of their strength and carried a staff representing their authority over the flocks, the kingdom. Both of these symbols have been carried throughout the centuries to the modern day where kings and queens carry scepters and wear crowns. The word koren, meaning horn, is the origin of the word crown. So you can think about that for a while. So we're going to look at this Sermon on the Mount from a NETZARIM perspective, and I'll have the link so you can look through that. The Sermon on the Mount is really interesting because in my Aramaic, it has the listing of every scripture that he's quoting from the Tanakh. That was taken off because they didn't want people to know that. And I thought that was really sad because this is really important. Happy are the poor in spirit. Who are the poor in spirit? Are they spiritually poor? Are they poor for the sake of the Spirit? What does this mean? So in Hebrew, it's about function. So if you have a Hebrew mind, like what does that mean? I don't understand that. What's the concrete? What can you really wrap your head around this? And he goes and he talks about poor of spirit. It's a contraction of, and then he talks about this ruach, poor and contrite of spirit. Isaiah 66:2. The Aramaic translator of Matthew rendered the phrase, "This poor in spirit." I'm not going to bore you with my inept pronunciations that I have. I still have some of a southern accent, and sometimes it gets in the way. So, should a wise man utter knowledge of pride and vanity? Shall words of pride and vanity, ruach, have an end? So the poor in spirit are the humble of pride. They are humble in regard to pride. Note that the scriptures never say anything good about pride. Every statement the scriptures make about pride is negative. Let's look at Isaiah 66:2. But to this one I will look, to him who is poor and contrite of spirit, who trembles at my word. Thus the poor of spirit, or humble of spirit, are those who tremble at Jehovah's word. What is this word? Isaiah defines this earlier. For out of Zion shall go forth the Torah, which is his instructions, and the word of Jehovah from Jerusalem. Okay? And it goes on to speak about the proud being humble. Why do they tremble at his Torah? They fear Jehovah according to the Tanakh, which includes Torah observance, that he may learn the fear of Jehovah, his Elohim, to keep all the words of his Torah and these statutes, to do them. Deuteronomy 17:19. That they may hear, that they may learn and fear Jehovah your Elohim, and observe to do all the words of his Torah. Deuteronomy 31:12. And again, this is confirmed. Psalm 25:9-10, which says in part, he teaches the humble his way. And what is his way? And Jehovah said to me, arise, get thee down quickly from hence, for thy people which thou hast brought forth out of Egypt have corrupted themselves. They are quickly turned aside out of the way which I commanded them. For you shall diligently keep all these commandments which I command you to do them, to love Jehovah your Elohim, to walk in all his ways, and to cleave unto him. Behold, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. A blessing if you obey the commandments of Jehovah your Elohim, which I command you this day, and a curse if you will not obey the commandments of Jehovah your Elohim, but turn aside out of the way which I command you this day, and go after other gods, which you have not known. See, I've set before you this day life and good, death and evil, and I command thee this day to love Jehovah thy God, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments, his statutes, his judgments, that thou mayest live and multiply. And Jehovah thy Elohim shall bless thee in the land wherever you go to possess it. But take diligent heed to do the commandment and the Torah, which is the instructions, which Moshe, the servant of Jehovah, charged you to love Jehovah your Elohim, and to walk in all of his ways, and to keep his commandments, and to cleave unto him, and to serve him with all your heart, with all your soul. 9 years shall you hear a word behind me saying, this is the way, walk in it. And when you turn to the right hand, and when you turn to the left, that's Isaiah 30:21. Blessed are the undefiled in the way, who walk in the Torah of Jehovah, his instructions. I have rejoiced in the way of thy testimonies as much as in all riches. I will run the way of the commandments when thou shalt enlarge my heart. So the poor in spirit humble their pride and submit in humility to Torah, his instructions. So Matthew was originally written in Hebrew. The manuscript was, one of the manuscripts was found in St. Petersburg, formerly Leningrad, in 1991 when the Soviet Union fell. So they had ran over there and got all these pictures from this St. Petersburg museum or library or something. The Hebrew manuscript was discovered by a professor from the University of Georgia, George Howard. Now, This is from Jerome. He made this quote, and Jerome, again, is one of the quote-unquote church fathers, which he's not my father, okay? The forefathers were Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov. Those are the fathers, okay? That translated the Bible from Hebrew into Latin, where the Latin Vulgate comes from, which Catholics and most of the Western world used for over 1,000 years. And this is where a lot of the translations came from. So here's what Jerome said. Matthew composed a gospel of Christ at first published in Judea in Hebrew. The Hebrew itself has been preserved until the present day in the library at Caesarea. I have also had the opportunity of having the volume described to me by the Nazarenes of Berea who use it, Jerome in 392. Yahuwdiyth taught from the Tanakh, the Torah, 5 books of Moshe, the teachings, and the Nevi'im prophets, and the Ketuvim writings. Look at this, Nahum 1:15. Behold on the mountains the feet of him who brings good news, who announces shalom, peace. Celebrate your feast. O Yehuda, pay your vows, for never again will the wicked one pass through you. He is cut off completely. Isaiah 52. And now, what have I here, declares Yahuwah, that my people are taken away for naught? Those who rule over them make them wail, declares Yahuwah, and my name is despised all day continually. Therefore my people shall know my name in that day, for I am the one who is speaking. See, it is I. Love these prophets. They're so excited right now. How pleasant upon the mountains are the feet of him who brings good news, who proclaims peace, who brings good news, who proclaims deliverance, who says to Zion, your Elohim reigns. The voice of your watchmen, they shall lift up their voices together, they shout for joy, because eye to eye they see the return of Yahuwah to Zion. Break forth into joy, sing together, you waste places of Jerusalem, for Yahuwah shall comfort his people, he shall redeem Jerusalem. Yahuwah shall lay bare his set-apart arm, in the arms of all the nations. All the ends of the earth shall see the deliverance of our Elohim. Turn aside, come out from there, touch not the unclean. Come out of her midst, be clean, you who bear the vessels of Yahuwah. I wanted you to see this. Here is the Beatitudes with all the scripture verses he's quoting from, which was in, and again, what I told you about, the, let me make sure I got this here, in the Aramaic English. So they have all these listed. So blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And then we talked about what poor in spirit means. It's humility. Blessed are they who are mourning, because they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they who hunger and thirst for righteousness, the path, stay on the path, because they will be satisfied. Blessed are they who are merciful, because mercies will be upon them. Blessed are they who are pure in their hearts, because they will see Elohim. Blessed are they that make peace, because they will be called the sons of Elohim. Blessed are they that are persecuted because of righteousness, because theirs is the kingdom of heaven. If you're being persecuted because you're trying to walk in his righteousness, his way, just rejoice. Blessed are you whenever they curse you and persecute you and say every evil word about you falsely because of me. Then rejoice and be glad, because your reward in heaven is great. For likewise they persecuted the prophets who were before you. You are the light of the world. Then he goes and he's quoting from Psalm 89:15. So let you look at this, look every one of these up, because this is what he's quoting from. He's quoting from the Tanakh and the prophets. And he's quoting from all these things, and it's just people don't understand that. So I thought that was really cool. So I wanted to share that with you. And let's look at the ancient Hebrew definition of humble. It's a characteristic trait of being meek or humble. Alternate spelling, so you can go look at that. Taking down of a camp and loading onto a beast of burden. Have you ever been called an ass before? So, Here's what it is in Hebrew. In ancient Hebrew, this is what ass means. So, a rod only occurs in Job 39:5. In what respect it differs is uncertain. The ass in eastern countries is a very different animal from what he is in Western Europe. The most noble and honorable amongst the Jews were wont to be mounted on asses. With us, the ass is a symbol of stubbornness and stupidity, while in the East it is especially remarkable for its patience, gentleness, intelligence, meek submission, and great power of endurance. This is by L. Abbott. The color is usually a reddish-brown, but there are white asses, which are much prized. The ass was the animal of peace, shalom, as the horse was the animal of war, hence the appropriateness of Mashiach in his triumphal entry riding on an ass. The wild ass is a beautiful animal. Mr. Lavard remarks that in fleetness the wild ass, here's the Latin for it, equals the gazelle, and to overtake it is a feat which only one or two of the most celebrated mares have been known to accomplish. Descend, to move or thrust in a downward direction. To be low or humble. Stocks, used for confining a prisoner. While there are many textual evidence to show the book of Matthew, Matthew was originally written in Semitic language, probably Hebrew, and it was. We just talked about that. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And he goes on talking about this. You can read this here. I'll pause for a minute. Hebrew word means bent down low, such as a poor person who is destitute. But this Hebrew word can also mean one who is humble in the same sense of bending down low. Lowering yourself and say, I don't have, what I've been taught is a lie. What does the scripture say in Jeremiah 16:17 through 21? You can read that, look that up. In 19 it says, O Jehovah, my strength and my stronghold, and my refuge in the day of affliction, unto thee shall the nations come. From the ends of the earth they shall say, our fathers have inherited nothing but lies, vanity and things wherein there is no profit. In another translation it says, our ancestors left us a foolish heritage, for they worshipped worthless idols. Proverbs 21:3, to do righteousness and justice is desired by Jehovah more than sacrifice. Exodus 13:9, this festival will be like a mark on your hand and a reminder on your forehead that the teachings of Jehovah are always to be part of your conversation, because Jehovah used his mighty hand to bring you out of Egypt. Leviticus, speak to the sons of Israel and say to them, Jehovah's appointed times which you shall proclaim as holy or set apart convocations. My appointed times are these. So here we go. We're looking at Leviticus now. And you're like, what is holy convocations? Appointed festivals. Look at these translations. Just go look at other translations or assemblies. We're being assembled together. We're being gathered together to obedience that Genesis talks about when he gathered his sons to him. Leviticus 23:4, these are appointed times of Jehovah, which you shall proclaim at the times appointed for them. Ezekiel 20:12-13. Also I gave them my Sabbaths to be a sign between me and them, that they might know that I am Jehovah who sanctifies them. But the house of Israel rebelled against me in the wilderness. They did not walk in my statutes, and they rejected my ordinances, by which if a man observes them, he will live. And my Sabbaths they greatly profane. Then I resolved to pour out my wrath on them in the wilderness to annihilate them. This is Jehovah speaking. He's going to pour out his wrath on those who don't want to keep them. Maybe they'll repent and return to him. I don't know. But this is where we're heading really quickly. Ezekiel, in a dispute they shall take their stand to judge. They shall judge it according to my ordinances. They shall also keep my laws, my instructions, my statutes, and in all my appointed feasts, and sanctify my Sabbaths. These are his. He's talking about this. This is what he considers righteous. This day will be one for you to remember. This is a permanent law for generations to come. You will celebrate this day as a pilgrimage festival in Jehovah's honor. You shall observe this event as an ordinance for you and your children forever. Exodus 12:29, and it came to pass at midnight, the Lord slew every firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh who sat on his throne, and to the firstborn of the captive woman that was in the prison, and all the firstborn of cattle. And it came to pass at midnight that Jehovah smote all the firstborn of the land of Egypt, and the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne, and to the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn cattle. Where else do we see this prison coming up? And it's 2 Kings 25:27. Well, in the 12th month, on the 27th day, the king lifted up his head and brought him out of prison. Evil, here's Murdoch, which goes back to Murdoch, which goes back to this pagan worship. King of Babylon, that year he became king, released. Becoming king of Judah from prison. So here's Jeremiah, and it came about the 37th year in the exile, king of Judah, in the 12th month, on the 25th day of the month. So we have two different days here. It's really interesting. And this is what this name means. Yahweh raises up. Yah raises up. The Lord will set up. So lift up your head, O ye gates. He's lifting up the heads of those he's bringing out of prison. Why? Because they keep his commandments. They honor him. Numbers 33:4, while the Egyptians were burying all their firstborn whom Jehovah had struck down among them, Jehovah had also executed judgments on their gods. Job 34:20, in a moment they die, and at midnight people are shaken and pass away, and the mighty are taken without a hand. Therefore you shall keep this ordinance as its appointed time from year to year. 3 times a year you shall celebrate a feast to me. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at twilight, Jehovah's Passover. Then on the 15th day of this same month, there is the feast of unleavened bread to Jehovah for 7 days. You shall eat unleavened bread. Observe the month of Abib, and keep the Passover unto Jehovah thy Elohim, for in the month of Abib, Jehovah thy Elohim brought thee forth out of Egypt by night. While the sons of Israel camped at Gilgal, they observed Passover on the evening of the 14th day of the month in the desert plains of Jericho. Nahum 1:15 again, celebrate your feast. What's the good news? Celebrate the feast and you'll live. Hebrews 11:28. This is amazing. By faith, Emunah, the firm action towards something, he kept the Passover and the sprinkling of blood, so that the destroyer of the firstborn would not touch Israel's own firstborn. 1 Corinthians 10:10, neither should we complain, as some of them complain, and they were destroyed by the destroyer. Now these things happened to them as an example, and they were written for our instruction, upon whom the ends of the ages have come. 1 Corinthians 5:8. Therefore let us keep this festival. Keep the festival. He's telling us to do this. Psalm 102:18. This will be written for the generation to come, that a people yet to be created may praise Jehovah. This is a song, and he's talking about us, that a people yet to be created. That's us. He wants us to keep this. So I went through that, and I wanted to show you the, make sure I got everything here. And this is going to be the table that I did. Oh, okay, this is the second table. Leviticus 16:34 to Leviticus 24:8 at a skip of 5:5-6. Idol worship, idolatry. So I wanted to see if Easter would come up here. And what would Yahuwah say about it? Is he going to confirm this? Absolutely, he'll confirm this. So we're going to look here. Here is idol worship. So it comes up in.
Whoever of the seed of Aaron is a leper or has this discharge, he shall not eat of the holy things until he is clean.
This is the verse that idol worship comes up in. Now we're not going to just deal with Easter, we're also going to deal with Kabbalah because it comes up in this series. So here's Easter. Okay, and in gold, it talks, so right up above it is deceit. There's deceit with this. Let's go through here. Proud. Pride is all over here. Pride. Remember what he says, those who won't humble themselves, it's prideful. You have priest right here. You have demigod. You also have Gomer. Hosea's in here. He comes up. Malignancy, wickedness. This is what he's talking about here. Death. Apostate, and then we have a connection to Etna, which is a volcano. Okay, those who didn't know that. Devastation. You have dimension. You have dove. Dung heap. God, which is a different deity. Hosea. Joel comes up here. And Miami. Again, here's another connection to somehow with this having to do with Miami. I don't know what. But obviously there's something now. What I did is I separated 16 and 34. And then we're going to do, let's just do 556 just to see what happens. And I know there's multiple ways to do this, but I've been talking for a while now. My voice is still kind of sketchy here. We're just going to see what comes up with this. Hopefully it won't freeze.
Okay.
Maybe it won't do it. That's why I've been putting this on. See, it's still doing it. But anyway, I think this is a good thing to think about and to make sure you're ready. The seal, not only do you have a seal for the Ruach HaKodesh, but it's also a commandment that we are to obey. We're to have a firm action towards this. You know, they kept this. They did this. They're our example. We're to do this by faith, not Easter. We're not supposed to be mixing with that kind of stuff. You already saw what this is about. And then here I'll show you what came up. I can do this. I did screenshots of this just in case. Here we are. Keep the feast. And here it is. My computer shut down on that. Here's the other table. Alright. Alright, here we go. In other words that came up with this, rancor, septic. Here's the Passover, and it shared another word here. And I think I have it on the other table. Or maybe I don't. I don't remember. Drunkard. Evil. This is what he wants you to choose life, that you may live. So I hope this blesses. Look to keep the feast. Keep his feast days. Just obey him. How hard is that? Come out of this other stuff. Turn to him. Return to him, to Teshuvah, and start walking on this pathway. And I wanted to encourage you. I won't get a copyright strike. I'll be putting this as a link in here. Is come as you are. Come out of the sadness from wherever you've been. Come brokenhearted. Let rescue begin. So if you find you with his feast and you're doing and being obedient, there's a rescue coming. Come find your mercy, O sinner, come kneel. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can't heal. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can't heal. So lay down your burdens, lay down your shame. All who are broken, lift up your face. So he wants those that have had enough of these churches and these buildings telling you how you're supposed to worship. It's not that. There's such deception and people are so deceived by this. He wants you, if you're tired of that, come to him. Sit at his table with him. That's what he wants you to do. A wanderer, come home. You're not too far. There's still time to keep his Passover. So lay down your hurt, lay down your heart, come as you are. Receive him. Receive him, the sacrifice he made for you, and be obedient to keep his feast. That's it. Just come as you are. So I wanted to put this out here. There's hope for them and all those who've strayed. Sit at the table. Come taste the grace. Grace, you building your life every day with him. You pitching your tent with him and him pitching his tent with you. And by faith, and doing a firm action towards something, let us keep these feasts by faith. That's what this is about. Very simple. And the enemy has totally taken it and twisted it and manipulated it and did horrible things to these with these masks. But there's rest with the weary, rest that endures. Earth has no sorrow that have a cure. Listen to the words of this. And I think it's amazing. And guess what he's getting ready to do? The walls start crumbling. He is tearing down the walls. The dividing wall is coming down. And people are going to see who he is. Okay. My computer.